Our pace of living leaves us little time for leisure. Our program will give you a chance to experience the fascinating world of traveling, extreme adventures, hunting and fishing. Each week we will take you to the most beautiful places of Kazakhstan. Most people today prefer to travel on four wheels. Traveling behind the steering wheel has always been considered most convenient and reliable. But traveling by car is something almost everyone can do now and is not as exciting as traveling on motorized two wheels off-road. So to get some adrenaline, we and our friends decided to head off to the Kargaly settlement on a rainy weekend day where the National Motocross Cup Tournament is held on a regular basis. This extreme sports tournament has become a must among the leading motocross racers from Russia, Kirgizstan and Uzbekistan. In our country, there are several specialized motocross race circuits. The sport requires races at isolated circuits with natural obstacles.
Это действительно зрелищный вид спорта. Момент старта, от старта до финиша.
It's a spectacular kind of sport from the start to the finish line. The competition is tough from the start, as well as the high and long jumps. All these bring excitement. Motocross racing in Kazakhstan, in my opinion, is developing and becoming of better quality. The best motocross racing site is 50 kilometers from Almaty at the foot of the Zaylisky Alatar mountains. It's a spacious place with low and great and wide hills that seamlessly change to plateau. It's very windy here and this makes the racer's job challenging.
Очень много сейчас известных спортсменов бывшего Советского Союза.
There are a lot of famous racers from former Soviet Union republics participating in our tournaments. Particularly leading Russian sportsmen are attending our events more and more often. Why? Because it's warmer here in spring than in Russia. In Russia, snow often doesn't melt at this time, so back in 2005 they started to come here to participate in our tournaments and exercise. At that time we couldn't be compared to them. The Russian racers would perform a lot better than us, but now our level of performance is more or less the same as theirs. Racers that come to this site from other countries set their tents forming a big campsite and stay here for a few days. They test the circuit, evaluate it, and after that even the most experienced racers say it will be a heated competition, even for such a cold day, to race at such a difficult circuit. The rain has turned the ground to mud with lots of puddles, making it hard to move for horse riders, local spectators, to ride their horses as it was slippery for them to go. So the motocross racers had to fight with the fear to fall off their motorcycles while trying to win the race. This brought excitement to the show.
Уже борьбу во всех классах навязываем.
We now compete at all levels. We have the youngest racer, 11-year-old Yanovsky Slava. He won one of the stages of Russia's Supercross Championship last year. Currently, he is preparing to take part in the European Championship and leaving Kazakhstan in a few days. Although Slava had interesting offers from abroad, including Russia, to represent their countries in various tournaments, Slava decided to race for Kazakhstan. There are no discounts for the youngest participants. Once you have chosen this kind of sport, you have to be a man and put up with difficulties. The only thing the youngest participants can be helped with is getting on the motorcycle saddle. Too dangerous to participate? Yes, nobody promises it will be easy.
Нужно тренироваться. Чем больше будешь тренироваться, тем меньше получишь травм.
The more you train, the less you get injuries. As you practice, you improve your performance. And when inexperienced sportsmen take part in races, they are almost always prone to get injuries. Anyone thinking of doing this sport should understand, motocross racing is a dangerous sport. Even experienced racers get injuries, like in any kind of sport. Someone may say that parents should discourage their children from doing dangerous sports and channel their energy to studying. But we all have the right to test our limits. Motocross racing requires not only a physical strength, but also strong spirit. Sport doesn't have age limitations. Children who start doing motocross racing usually start off with small engine motorcycles and then, after some time, start riding more powerful machinery. After a while, it becomes difficult to drop the sport, and even retirement may not become a reason to stop motocross racing.
Ветераны возвращаются и катают. Ну, конечно, молодых спортсменов тоже.
Veterans do come back to this sport, and of course young sportspeople are also attracted. The suggested age is 5 onwards, and this is both for boys and girls. It's 5 onwards, and I don't know for the retired, as there are no restrictions for them. We have racers aged up to 60. Yevgenia Nesterova is a leading motocross racer, and she came to this sport thanks to her father, a former motocross racer. I and my father once went to a tournament, and when I saw how this heavy machinery takes off high, I couldn't believe my eyes and fell in love with this sport, so I decided to give it a try. That's how I entered this sport. When I was beginning, I was fascinated by the sport and wanted to achieve as much as possible, to learn to ride a motorcycle as fast as possible, make jumps as high as possible. Now I'm calm and focused on what I do. I always have a plan in my mind about what I should do and how. I do the program in my head before the actual performance. I'm concentrated and don't think about anything else but my performance. All of my thoughts are about the current moment, about what I should do in real time. In Kazakhstan's championship in 2012, Yevgenia Nesterova won a bronze medal. That was her first big win.
Всегда, когда есть возможность заниматься и участвовать в соревнованиях, у меня всегда есть какой-то результат, и я получаю призовые места. Вот, например,
I always have the result, and it's usually placed on the prize podium. For example, at the beginning of this championship, I have already had 2 gold medals among girls, and in class 85, and I think I'm in 3rd place now according to the tournament chart. In 2012, when I went to the championship in Aktubinsk, there was a girl from Russia, Maria Zheltisheva. I beat her easily then, and this girl, Marishka, won 2nd or 3rd place at Russia's Cup among women last year. So from this comparison, it's clear that we'll show good results and we'll make good competitors to the Russian girls if we participate in these events more regularly. Why Russia? Because it's a larger country, and this means a larger number of sportspeople. Quantity becomes quality, and indeed, there are a lot more strong racers in the neighboring country than here.
что у каждой женщины в приоритете будет семья. Но от мотоспорта...
Every woman prioritizes the family. But if you're fond of motocross racing, you can't just forget about it, because even when you are not in the sport, you still belong to it. For example, you can become a motocross race commentator or an assistant, because normally you have substantial experience to support beginners or just help with advice, and that has happened many times. Coaches are proud of their female racers who have come to participate in the event despite the bad weather and the necessity to wash away all the dirt with cold water afterwards. In the previous competition, the weather was not good either. They arrived at the finish line with tears in their eyes. Many male racers, almost 40%, failed to finish the race, but the girls succeeded in that. They put all their efforts, being at their wits' end, and successfully finished the race. They proved they can make it. They are very enthusiastic about training and improving their racing skills. Our girls once again proved they have a good level. Motocross racing emerged with the invention of the motorcycle. The sport is based on the racer's skillfulness to operate the motorized two-wheeled vehicles. This means the racer has to be good at mechanics and should be able to skillfully ride it and literally become part of the motorcycle while participating in a race. It's an interesting direction in sport that doesn't limit the racer only within riding a motorcycle. There are other opportunities. You can assist with the organization of races. It's a spectacular, beautiful show. Motocross racing is a popular kind of sport worldwide as well. If we look back at the origins of the sport, we need to remember the invention of the first motorized vehicle by Gottlieb Daimler in 1885, and soon the French firm de Dion-Bouton set up the mass production of motorized tricycles. The organizer of the first motorized races was the Automobile Club of France. France was considered the center of car-making fashion as well as the center of motorized racing sport. Paris became the starting point of motorized races. Since then, motocross racing has conquered the whole world. In Kazakhstan, 4 large-scale tournaments are held annually. Motocross used to be even more popular here in the past. We have talented racers. Even beginner racers show good results. For example, this year we were on a par with our Russian counterparts, our strong competitors. They showed a high class level and won first medal. With strong competitors, racers become stronger. They gain experience participating in races like the one today. And even this miserable weather that makes horses and the supporters' bicycles get stuck in the mud is a step forward towards the mastery in motocross racing. But the muddy circuit has made it hard to do jumps and land on 2 wheels with no falls, injuries or breakdowns.
С детства приучена к спорту, папа сам тоже спортсмен, и он постоянно настрой в семье, он тоже нас всех прививал к нам.
Sport has always been in my life. I love it very much and can't imagine my life without physical activity. As for motocross racing, I consider it as a favorite pastime activity. I don't think I'm mad about races, but once involved, it's very difficult to quit. Former racers who don't miss a single motocross race as spectators say that the performance level of the Kazakhstani motocross racers has improved significantly, so that their past achievements formed a base for the current victories. Oleg Zharov feels proud of the leaders of Kazakhstan's motocross who beat their competitors from Russia and Kyrgyzstan. We have Marchenko Vlad, who is in the top 500 cubic centimeters class. We gave hard times to Russian racers here and in Russian tournaments. He is in the top 3 or 5. He often beats his leading Russian counterparts. And of course we're counting on Yanovsky Vyacheslav, who won Russia's championship, the stage of this championship, and is going to participate in the European Championship. We're also banking on Tatyanchenko Denis. They are all young and promising sportsmen who make strong competition across the CIS countries.
Это все молодые перспективные спортсмены, которые действительно составляют конкуренцию в СНГ.
Yevgenia Nesterova has recently become an aunt and already has some plans on involving her nephew boy in motorcycling.
Ни один мальчишка не откажется от этого, то есть ребята, когда этим занимаются, у них аж глаза, то есть сверкают, сияют. Для мальчиков это самый такой спорт, он, во-первых...
I think this sport is meant for boys. They all get excited at the sight of a motorcycle. The sport makes them resilient to colds, makes them disciplined. And even if a boy doesn't plan to become a professional racer, he will learn this important skill and will be confident in the future. He won't be careless about safety rules and checks, because that's what we teach beginner racers in the first place. This will prevent from road accidents. I think we should popularize this sport as it is spectacular and engaging. We were returning to town soaking wet and were heading to a car wash point. It was not only the motorbike that needed washing. We had to get our car that we used for carrying sports equipment washed too. Do you think we will want to have such an experience ever again? You bet!